Hey everybody, welcome to PDubs Arcade Loft. Hey, on this Spooktacular edition of PDubs Arcade Loft today for you, we have, what could be more fitting? Ghosts chasing the icon, the legend that is Miss Pac-Man. Today we're going to be covering our Miss Pac-Man mod. We're going to show you what we did, how we put it together, how much everything cost. I'll make sure I post links to everything that I used to get this bad boy together in the video description. For you if you're interested. Show you how you can get this thing put together for just a little bit over the retail cost of what these Arcade1up machines cost directly. So let's kind of dive into it. Okay guys, before I forget, one thing, if you saw my video, it's on this channel a couple videos ago where we highlighted Angel's amazing marquees. The one piece that I neglected to show because unfortunately, God damn, everything gets so dirty around here. Because I neglected to double check that my batteries hadn't died on me and were still running before I even started uploading videos. Was how did we install the LED strips? So if you recall, there is a black board that you need to reuse. It's the bottom of your marquee. You need to reuse this blackout board. So the piece that you take off your old marquee that you end up installing on your new marquee. So here's the piece, it screws into the marquee and the marquee goes vertical like this. All you do is you take that LED strip and you lay it flat across this board. That's it. So the artwork, of course, is the Miss Pac-Man graphics kit that you can get from arcadegraphics.com. It's a beautiful set of artwork. Going around the entire machine. Absolutely love it. So I got the graphics kit for $100, slapped it on there, and it looks lovely. And then I picked up some pink tape to do the edging. The pink tape is Champion sports tape. It's only $10 off Amazon. I will post a link below. You guys saw my other video the other day where we have Angel Otero. We have his light-up marquee that we finally got installed on here. Control deck, as well as all of the hardware on the inside of the machine. This was a pre-drilled control deck, and it came from DIY Retro Arcade. And then, of course, when I placed the order for a 60-in-1 kit, because this machine is running a 60-in-1, I asked him to provide me yellow buttons and joystick ball because I knew I was going to tape the machine pink and I didn't want to have excessive amounts of pink. I figured yellow would look good, and I think it looks pretty good. Now on this 60-in-1 mod, you might say, hey, where's the trackball? Because the 60-in-1 board includes Centipede and Millipede. Well, I'll be honest, I suck at those games. Not a big fan of those games. And so I decided not to go the trackball route. But when you order a 60-in-1 pre-cut board from DIY Retro Arcade, it does have, he's got two where you can get it like this. So you have your three buttons that you need for most of your games, player 1, player 2, and the joystick. But he also has another option where there's a trackball if you want to do trackball. In fact, after I set up the 60-in-1 board, I disabled the Centipede and Millipede games because I don't ever plan on playing those. And if I do play them, I'll play them on the 12-in-1 Atari machine that's got Glenn's Retro Show spinner and trackball right there. Absolutely love those. If you're looking to upgrade, get those. I'm sure everyone has already. They're amazing. So if I do want to play those games, I'll play them on that machine. When you guys order a 60-in-1 kit from DIY Retro Arcade, it does come with a great setup for the sound system. He includes the amp that we've all been using in our mods, the wire for plugging into the 60-in-1 board for the sound. He gives you a couple speakers, and then of course a pre-cut front panel. So funny story, I ordered my arcade graphics kit from arcadegraphics.com, and when I put her together, I was so excited when it came, I accidentally put the sticker on the J panel right there. And then I hadn't even ordered the 60-in-1 kit yet, so I had a bonehead moment. It's like, what do I do? Do I want to cut holes in her, or do I want to order a new sticker, start over, use this. But that would also involve you stick it on there, and then also you got to cut up the front of the sticker to allow the speakers to go through. So I had to look for an alternative sound modification because I didn't want to have to order another sticker. These are the things we learn in modding. Don't move too quickly. Because honestly, I probably would have ended up using this. But what's great is, we're putting these in the next mod. We have something super secret going on behind the tarp. So I decided, hey, you know what I'll do? I'll just drill the test and service buttons, which I did. And those are right there. And I'll kind of show you how those operate, because there's some cool features you can enable if you weren't aware of those already. For the 60-in-1 games. So I had to figure out, okay, what am I going to do about sound? So I ended up taking a look around and decided just to stick a Dell speaker on the roof of the cabinet. So this is a Dell computer speaker. And you know, whenever you buy a computer speaker, it comes with a bracket at the top, because this is the piece that's supposed to mount to the computer monitor. And we didn't want to, you don't want that thing sticking up. It's like giant rabbit ears, you know, it sticks up to here. So, you know, I cut that off. So basically, I just need to get that filed down a bit, and it'll look better. So apologies for that. I wanted to get this video out. And what's great too about the Dell speaker is we got our volume control right here, and go on off. It's not plugged in right now. And you can adjust the volume, and this speaker gives you some nice sound. This speaker is available on Amazon. It's only like 12 to 15 bucks depending on when you place the order. Coming around the back, and what you do is you get it up there, and then you pre-drill a hole and run your wires down there for the power. It's got a power wire, and then of course it's got the wire to plug into the 60-in-1 board, or into, you know, your amp. If you are doing a Raspberry Pi type mod, you could plug it into the amp this way. Okay, we're going to show you the guts now. So this particular Arcade1up cabinet was a Centipede cabinet that I found on OfferUp. Someone bought it, decided to sell it right away, and I ended up talking him down to $100. So I picked it up for $100. So it's got the older vertical monitor, which is nice because when you go on Amazon and you look up this number, the M number, you'll find the appropriate controller board. So of course, $100 for that, and then of course you're what, $30 for the LCD controller board for the conversion, VGA, HDMI, and all this kind of stuff. Now, what we tried to go for is a nice, clean install. So I'll kind of give you a tour of the cabinet here. So on the bottom, you got your power supply, and that's it. You'll notice there's no amp, but that's because we are running our speaker through the roof of the cabinet. Then you got your 60-in-1 board. And then, of course, you got your miscellaneous power wires running up and down the cabinet. Highly recommend using these clips. They're so cheap. You can order like a bag of a couple hundred of them for like $5. And I use them all the time in my mods. Helps keep everything clean and organized. There's your 60-in-1 board, and then we have our JAMA harness. Let me get in here. So what's nice about DIY Retro Arcade, they have the harness pre-labeled for you, which is great when it comes to getting your buttons installed. I'll post a link to the video on how to actually do the installation. But you'll see there we got our beautiful micro switches, joystick. The 60-in-1 board and kit you get from DIY Retro Arcade will come with some extra wires. Now, I always like to think, well, what about future expansion, right? So sometimes you could just cut off what you're not going to use. However, I've decided to keep it in here because you never know. So for instance, this right here, this is the wire for the trackball. So if I ever did want to add a trackball in the future and swap out the control deck, I still have it here. I don't have to source that all over. And then that right there, these right here are the wires for adding additional buttons, player 2 buttons, if you wanted to put multiple additional buttons on here. So the player 2 buttons are on here because, again, everyone's going to be using the player 1 buttons, the yellow buttons. Everyone's going to be using those, taking turns playing on a 60-in-1. But you could set it up where you could have an additional set of buttons. So I held on to those just in case. Didn't want to cut those off. So when you take a look here, so right above the A, laying horizontally, is where we have the LED strip. The LED strip is laying right above the A there, horizontally, flat. Okay, so when you turn the machine on, if you hold down the test button, which I have the test button set up right here. So if you hold it on, turn the machine on, holding that button, it'll bring you to the test screen. You gotta hit your test button to get to the next screen. And it says, hey, do you want to clear the high scores? What I love about the 60-in-1 board is on the 60-in-1 board, the dip switch settings, if you take dip switch number 3 and turn it to on, it will save all your high scores. And it tells you, you know, hey, hit the test button if you want to go to the next menu. And what's great is you have your dip switch settings here for each individual game on the motherboard, so you can turn certain features on and off as you scroll down. So for instance, we have the demo music turned off because the demo music on the 60-in-1 board is quite obnoxious, and you just hit the S1 button to cycle it, because you have S1, S2, S3, I believe. So S1 is this button. And you can cycle that on and off. I like it off. Make sure it's set to free play as well. And right here you can cycle through all the games and determine what games you want on or off. The 60-in-1 board's got a good selection. As you can see, I disabled Centipede and Millipede. And I also disabled Gunsmoke because it just plays terrible on this machine. That was a tip from Retro Ralph. I tried it and it sucked, and he was right. The man knows everything. Now, if you do turn all the games off and leave one game turned on, when you power on your machine, it'll turn on, it'll go right into that game. So if you wanted to make it a dedicated cabinet, you guys have probably heard this already, you just turn all the games off, and it'll, when you turn the machine on, it'll automatically load into that particular game if you're not interested in playing the other games. But they got some good ones on here, your Galagas, your Froggers, your Donkey Kongs, Dig Dug, Space Invaders, all that kind of stuff. You hit your... And what's now, when you hit the test button again to go into the next menu for the dip switch settings, so for each individual game you can change things. So for instance, you have to move left and right. So I set it up for 5 lives, have it set to easy. You could cycle it right here, hard, easy, hard. I set it up for normal speed. Right here you can go fast, ludicrous speed, which I hate playing that way. I know some guys like it. And then what color do you want the beans? Do you want them to be dots or hearts? Because it's Miss Pac-Man, I switched it to hearts. It just looks so much better that way. So then you could actually do this for each game. So like Galaga, have it set to continuous shooting, no. Extra life at 30, which I have set up. You can change the number of starting lives. But the one I really like is the bullet speed. I set that to fast. And you can just kick ass at that game when you have it set to fast. So that's kind of nice. So there you go. Okay, and then it brings you to the menu. Now, like I said, and you've seen it before, heard it from other guys, on your 60-in-1, if you disable all the games and leave only one game, it'll boot right up into that game. But however many games you have left to play, here it's going into demo mode, it'll give you that menu. So because I still have, they put 6 on a screen, so you'll get 10 screens. 10 times 6 is 60, and then of course If I had turned off more games, there might only be 9 screens or 8 screens, you know, depending on what you like. So we still have, see, we have 57 because we've turned off 3 games that we know we're not going to play. Okay, so here we go. So you got to press your start button, get your game going, automatically goes. And as you can see, we got hearts now. We have hearts instead of dots, which I really like. And we're playing at normal speed, and it's the real arcade ROM. Everything plays the way it should. Got your 4-way joystick that comes with your kit. So it's pretty easy to make your moves without screwing up. Oh, then. See, this speaker gives a nice sound. You don't need, I mean, you don't need to add all that bass and stuff for these kind of games. You know. And then of course I have it set up for rapid fire. So you're just able to clear house. Boom. That's how you do it. All right, guys, there you go. Hopefully you liked the video. Appreciate you so much tuning in to PDubs Arcade Loft. We definitely could use your support. Please consider hitting that subscribe button. Definitely leave us your feedback and comments below. Links to all this stuff will also be posted below. By the way, one last thing. If you're going to play the 60-in-1 board, whatever you do, do not power the machine on and hold down all 5 buttons at the same time, okay? And when I turn the machine on, I'm going to take a quick step back so you can see what happens.